There were several of these warheads that come up missing, and they have been missing. And I guarantee you that the federal government knows exactly what warheads we're all talking about. They know. I mean, they absolutely know. And the unfortunate side is that they just don't know where they all are. They'll come up with some bullshit reason why these drones are flying, and it's going to sound very believable, but it more than likely would not be the truth, because what is not scary is the drones. It's ominous that they're flying overhead. That's very ominous. But it's not scary that they're flying over your head. What's scary is what they could be looking for.
It still hits, I don't miss it. It's go, 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 like a go, go flow. And I'm almost done. And I told you so when I throw these flows like it's Rochambeau. And I ain't too close, it's Joe Smoke goes. And I'm on my grind, that is all the time. I do not do breaks, that's right, I stay in dry. And look, I'm back with a little bit of that, a little more cash than it came in with. Ready, that cat is out that bag, but I still ask you, the boy got skills. I don't need her, I don't need him, I don't need help with me, I got this. I can sing songs, I can spit raps, and I can do both, even do this, word.
This episode is brought to you by Anthracite Pallet Solutions. Need reliable, durable pallets to keep your business moving? At Anthracite Pallet Solutions, we specialize in new and used 48x40 wooden pallets. Whether you're shipping, storing, or stacking, we offer high-quality pallets that keep your operations running smoothly. With our own fleet of trucks and trailers, we deliver on time, every time. And if warehouse space is a concern, our drop trailer services have you covered. From custom orders to large-scale deliveries, we're here to meet your every need with top-notch customer service and unbeatable prices. We're currently shipping within 2 hours of Scranton, Pennsylvania, including Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Maryland. Call us today at 570-606-9206 or inquire online at anthracitepallet.com and let us handle your pallet solutions. Anthracite Pallet Solutions, built to last. Designed to move. This episode is brought to you by Sweat Tent, the pioneers of the portable wood-burning sauna. Did you know that using the sauna 3 to 4 times per week could reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease by up to 50% and make you 60% less likely to experience Alzheimer's disease? That's why I've been a big fan of the sauna for years. But having to go to a crowded gym to do it isn't ideal. And all the at-home options are bulky and expensive. That's why I only use the Sweat Tent for my sauna needs. It's the most storable and affordable wood-burning sauna on the market. It not only takes minutes to set up, but it can reach 200 degrees Fahrenheit in 30 minutes or less. So whether you're enjoying it yourself in your backyard, with friends, or in need of a reliable sauna on the go, Sweat Tent is your best choice for the most portable, storable, and enjoyable outdoor sauna experience. All On the Stacks listeners will receive $100 off when you use code OTS. Visit sweattent.com today to get $100 off your purchase with code OTS at checkout. Again, that's sweattent.com to get $100 off with code OTS. Sweat Tent, helping you fire up your home wellness routine. This episode is brought to you by FitAF. If you haven't already noticed, I live and breathe entrepreneurship. Whether it's launching new ventures, attending pitch meetings, or mentoring budding entrepreneurs, my schedule is jam-packed. And that's where FitAF steps in. Their menu changes weekly, offering a variety of chef-inspired meals designed by nutrition experts using only the best quality ingredients, keeping me fueled and focused. Their vast selection of meals has you covered for all types of dietary restrictions and diet plans, including keto, paleo, vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, and more. As an On the Stacks listener, enjoy our exclusive offer. Get 20% off your first order of 7 meals or more when you use code OTS at checkout at fitafnutrition.com. Again, that's code OTS for 20% off your first order of 7 meals or more at fitafnutrition.com. Healthy meals and seamless nutrition, keeping entrepreneurs at the top of their game. So, you know, it was funny, John, when I won't say how I found it, but I ended up, I got your phone number, and I have a confession to make right off the bat here, by the way, and you're gonna laugh. I already see you smirking. So, when I got your phone number, you know, obviously I saw your video a few days ago, you know, when it first came out, you know, on TikTok, and actually, I think it. Then, you know, Rogan shared it, which I'm sure you probably heard already, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, Rogan shared it, and I'm like, now I'm seeing it again, probably for like the 10th time, you know? But I got the phone number, and to be honest, I thought it was like an office phone number, right? So it was my time. So I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Pennsylvania, and so, you know, I'm you know, a little ahead of you, and it was 11 o'clock my time. And when I got your number, and I said to myself, I was like, well, I'm like, I didn't know. So I'm like, I figured it was your office line. So I called thinking I was going to get like an automated, like a prompt system. Because to be honest, John, like I was doing my research on you, like before I want to invite you to come on the show. I was like, all right, is this guy legit? Is this company real? Right? Does he actually exist? Is this a real thing? So I'm like, I'm gonna call the office line, and I was just thinking it was just gonna, like an automated, hey, this is Saxon, Aerospace, and press 1 for John, press 2 for whatever. So again, I was just calling just to hear like an automated message say this was Saxon, and after 2 rings, now again 11 p.m. my time, right? So after 2 rings, you pick up and you just said, hi, this is John, and to be honest, I completely froze up and I just hung up on you.
Oh, that was you?
That was me. Yeah, and then I text you right after, right?
Oh, man, I thought, what a dick.
Yeah.
Call me at 10 o'clock at night, then hang up on me?
Right, I know, yeah. So, yeah. So
no, I didn't think that, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah. So, like I said, I didn't realize I thought maybe it was just an office line, and I'm like, there's no way he's going to be picking up at 10 o'clock, your time, 11 o'clock my time, and I was just trying to just verify a few things before I was going to say, hey, I'm Bill. This is what I do. Do you want to come on the show? So anyway, I had to apologize right off the bat for hanging up. That was our first interaction was me hanging up on you.
No, that's all right. That's all right. No worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. So no, but John, thanks again for taking the time. I know you're probably getting hit up a lot, from all over the place here. So I know you have somewhat limited time. So I kind of want to jump in a little bit. But first I want to before we really get into your theory and really what you do and all everything that you're doing currently. I think it'd be great for the world to really just learn about who John is, what you do. Obviously, I know you were a Marine. You obviously have a military background, but I kind of want to just hear a little bit of where you come from and kind of how you got started in doing what you're doing.
Okay, well, I come from Kansas. Joined the Marine Corps, traveled, doing the Marine Corps. I was 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. I was a Desert Storm Marine, then got out, and my father was my mentor. He was an independent businessman, and so I really wanted to do that myself. So I got out of the Marine Corps and then went into deep sea diving, and then later on I went into piloting submersible vehicles. So I've traveled around the world piloting submersibles and have done that for over 20 years. And then I started this company, Skynet, and that was our original company, and started manufacturing drones because I thought that I could do a fairly decent job and compete in the market. And it just grew the company, and had a lot of successes and more failures. And with the perseverance and just never quitting, we ended up really becoming a really nice company. We're a small company, so but I still travel around the world. I do a lot of things in Africa to try to help build infrastructure between smaller African nations and the state of Kansas, and at some point, hopefully I can take that to a federal level. With a federal position, because I like seeing nations that really don't have the opportunities to share in our technologies. I like to see them rise up and really have an opportunity to do what we get to do every single day, and that's just go to work and have a job and raise a family, and retire. That's not something that everybody else gets to do around the world. So that's kind of who I am. And then, this unmanned aircraft situation came up, and I thought there's a lot of, great theories out there, but, one thing I didn't see was manufacturers, people who actually manufacture the aircraft. I haven't seen any of their input on this deal, and I thought, I'm gonna just make a TikTok video, which I've never done ever. So that was my very first freaking video.
You were just one of those TikTokers that you were just there, just viewing other people's content, right? Is that where you were, or did you even not even have TikTok?
I have TikTok, but
you never posted until now.
No, I watched funny ass videos on TikTok, right? Yeah. And I thought I'm just gonna make a video just to kind of give everybody a technical, just a technical background on drones and why I don't think they should be worried.
Okay, so that was your initial intent was was, hey, I'm going to make this video just to try to explain to people really what's going on. But then, but your theory or your hypothesis, like how did that come about? Like, again, I'm talking about that, that very first video, the one that went viral. If anybody's watching right now, I'm sure they've probably already seen it. But for the one or two people that haven't seen it, right? Can you kind of just take me through that scenario again?
Well, yeah, absolutely. If you look at these aircraft, right, there's a lot of things that we see as manufacturers and the drone pilots that just won't make a lot of sense. They're saying that they're coming up out of the water, off the coast. Well, I don't think so. That's not quite possible. I mean, there is technology out there that can do that, but there's laws of physics that you just can't overcome. They're saying that they're being launched from an aircraft carrier or some type of Iranian vessel off the coast of New York that's several miles. Well, no, that can't be true either. I mean, if it was an Iranian vessel, then we would have done an interdiction, by now. There's two types of aircraft, actually three types of drone aircraft. A multicopter is one that you can buy at Best Buy and just they lift up vertically. Well, those only have limited battery life because you're taking a lot of energy to keep that aircraft in the air. So they only get maybe about an hour or so of flight time, on a good day, right? Mm-hmm. Then we have fixed wing aircraft that can do 15, 18, 20 hours or more in the air. Those are more likely to be flown off of an offshore vessel, traverse several miles to go inland to go do work and then come back, right? That's more believable. Mm-hmm. But the majority of the aircraft that I'm seeing are multicopter type aircraft. The third type of aircraft, I'll just kind of group them together. There's a hybrid multicopter, which has a gas engine that powers electric motors, and it still takes off vertically. That still has limiting factors, right? So maybe 90 minutes of flight time or whatever is kind of like the average. So now if you take in that same category, you take a multicopter or a VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing fixed wing aircraft. It's a fixed wing aircraft, but it lifts up and then it transitions to forward flight. That's more believable that it could traverse the several miles. But what these aircraft are doing is they're coming in and then they're hovering or they're flying in slower patterns where a fixed wing aircraft requires a minimum speed to maintain flight altitude, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't fly in, you can't take off vertically, fly, hover around for hours, and then transition back to forward flight and then go, because that requires a lot of energy, and you don't typically have on the transition or when you're verticaling up, you don't have a lot of time on the battery power to do that because you burn a lot of battery, and then you need a generator on board to recharge those batteries. So 15, 20 minutes is all you're going to get when you're ascending, and then you transition. So again, a lot of physics into why it's not that type of an aircraft. And then aircraft, they typically don't have any reason to fly at night unless you have a very specific mission, such as ISR, which is intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or search and rescue type operation, or some LiDAR type ops, or optical gas imaging, or trying to locate gas leaks. So they're flying at night, so the wind is not as aggressive in the nighttime as it is in the daytime. So, when we have these sensors on our aircraft that will measure the parts per million of a gas leak or some type of a leak or some type of a chemical or whether it be radioactive material or whatever, you're measuring parts per million. So you need to have that in a lower wind condition. So, so again, you typically wouldn't fly on a commercial scale. You wouldn't fly at night, and these aircraft are flying at night. Seem like they're staying within the FAA guidelines, and they're using navigation lights, which is by law what we have to do. So they really don't want to run into other aircraft or manned aviation. They don't want to do that. So they don't seem like they're nefarious.
Right. So they're mostly pretty much following the rules, right? I mean, they're
Yeah, it seems to be.
yeah.
You know,
So
there's some conflicting reports where they're flying over military installations and stuff like that. The government would not allow an unmanned aircraft to fly over an installation without permission. That's a no-go.
yeah.
And so if that were the case, they do have counter drone technology where they can down that aircraft in a non-kinetic way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, did you see? I forget the base in Ohio, but I think a report might have just came out either yesterday or today. But there was a military base in Ohio that they shut down because of possible aircrafts flying in the area. Did you see that?
I'd heard about it, but I haven't seen any reports of it.
Okay.
Specifically.
Yeah. So again, I want to go back to again like these, their intention and I guess one of the things that is really is a mystery is sometimes you hear I have a lot of friends in New Jersey, and I've been checking in with a lot of them, and I hear from one friend that says, "Oh, we saw one." Then I have a friend who's like, "I had 20 over my house." So
Yeah.
what's up with that? Like I've been hearing, and these are all, I'll say, believable, credible sources, people that I've known for a long time,
Sure.
and I'm not, it's not like, it's not something I saw online or whatever. I'm going off of people I went to college with that I know, to be, trustworthy and valid and all that, and like what's with like the 20 drone swarms versus like the one? Is there what's behind that?
Yeah, the crazy thing is that we can swarm our aircraft. Like you've seen these NFL shows with all the drone shows. We basically use the same type of software.
Mm.
It's similar, to pilot our aircraft. So we can fly, 15 of my M14s, or the Vipers. We can fly 15 of those with one pilot.
Mm.
So, they're flying in a specific formation. It appears as though they are flying
Yeah,
in
why?
a specific, because they've got to be looking for something. So, again, you don't fly an aircraft at night unless you have a very specific reason to do that. And there is a very specific reason. They're not out there flying for fun. It's a very specific reason. And the reason for them to be flying at night has to overshadow the bullshit that backlash that they're going to get from the American population.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So whatever it is, my theory is that whatever it is they're looking for, it has to be just pretty damned important, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then some of them say they're omitting gases and all that stuff. And I am here to tell you as a drone subject matter expert, absolutely not. They are not emitting some form of gas. And I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, and I don't disrespect what people are saying, and I'll tell you why. Because if you have these aircraft, they're small aircraft. They're car-size aircraft and a little bit smaller. Okay, they can carry so much fuel. They can carry so much gas or chemicals because chemicals weigh roughly about 6 to 8 pounds per gallon. So you can't fly long durations with that much weight and expect to bring that aircraft back. And then you have to deal with the winds, because where a lot of pilots make mistakes is they fly a long ways out and then they turn around and they have to fly back because they got low battery or low fuel, and then they got wind against them, and then it's like, oh, well, we didn't take into account the wind, right?
Yeah.
So, but also, if you look at the gas at the altitude that they're flying, it doesn't matter really what gas let's just say they were spraying fentanyl, or something like that. Which is it's something that could happen, right? All of that all of that stuff would just go completely inert by the time it hits the ground. There's just not enough parts per million to cause any damage. So, no disrespect to the people that are saying they look like they're off gassing something, absolutely, but under no circumstance do I believe that they are ever off gassing anything that's going to be harmful, to human beings. It just does not make physical sense, and physics says no.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and by the way, I really appreciate your view and your points on a lot of this, because number one, obviously you're as you said, you're a subject matter expert. But again, there's obviously John, I can't tell you how many theories and rabbit holes I've gone down over the last few days. I mean, everyone
Yeah.
has, right? You know, you on the internet.
Yeah.
It's getting worse and worse and worse, right? You know, from the theories to the stories to the fake stuff. It's hard to tell now what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
But what I appreciate about you, obviously, because everything that I've heard from you, you know, so far of the content that I've seen online that you've put out, you know, and obviously this the short conversation that we've had so far is. You do have evidence to back up a lot of these claims. Like, you're not just saying, oh no, it's impossible. Okay, well, why? You know what I mean? You do have valid reasons, and physics and all those things that are beyond my understanding. But
did you see the second and the third TikTok video that I made?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do for the American people is just get out my little pen and marker and show everybody why they're not coming from long distances and why they're not nefarious, and why they're not Iran's. Iran's probably back there going, what's this bullshit? We don't need no damn drones. Flying in America.
Yeah. So who is it? Who is it then? Who is behind all of this?
On the Stacks will be back in a flash after a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Elevation Wellness, NEPA's premier wellness center located on Mundy Street in Wilkes-Barre. From pro athletes to busy parents, Elevation Wellness is leading the conversation when it comes to bettering your health through integrative medicine. Founded by NEPA native Louis Helmecke, Elevation Wellness offers physician-formulated and guided treatments that are administered by registered nurses. To learn more about how you can experience the benefits of IV vitamin therapy, multivitamin booster shots, non-invasive aesthetics, or peptide, NAD, red light, and compression therapy, visit elevation-wellness.com or follow them on Instagram at elevationwellnessnepa. All On the Stacks listeners will receive 10% off their first purchase with code STACKS at checkout. Call 570-762-9400 or visit elevation-wellness.com to book your appointment today. Elevation Wellness, taking your health to new heights. This episode is brought to you by Burn, the fitness company behind the Today Show approved Burn Board. If I'm being honest, working out can be a real chore, especially as a new dad in desperate need of sleep and cardio. Burn is founded by NEPA native Jimmy T. Martin, and his Burn Board offers a low-impact core and cardio experience unlike anything I've done before. They have hundreds of on-demand workouts that are great for beginners, seasoned athletes, and out-of-shape podcast hosts who love supporting small businesses. My wife and I use it pretty frequently throughout the week, and it's honestly a great way to burn a ton of calories without burning a ton of cash. Not to mention, it's a great tool for skiers, runners, wrestlers, and hockey players. Jimmy is offering all On the Stacks listeners 15% off when they use the code STACKS15. Visit theburn.com today to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15 at checkout. Again, that's theburn, THEBRRN.com to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15. It's time to get on board today with Burn.
We drive the same roads you drive. We face the same danger you face. When you're involved in a car or a truck crash, it's personal because we live here and raise our families here. We're invested here.
To learn more, visit Anzalone Law offices online at anzalonelaw.com.
And now we're back on the Stacks.
I do not know, but I do. I do agree with President Trump, and that the government knows who they are. The government. They're those people in the in D.C. that we elect, and they work for us. But they're sitting back and saying, you know what, y'all just shut the hell up. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Sit down and eat your sandwich, right? And that's basically what they're saying. They're saying it's none of your business. Well, you know what? The American people only get kicked around for so long until they really start to stand up and say, no, you tell us what it is. But they will never tell you what it is. They'll come up with some bullshit reason why these drones are flying, and it's going to sound very believable, but it more than likely would not be the truth, because what is not scary is the drones. It's ominous that they're flying overhead. That's very ominous. But it's not scary that they're flying over your head. What's scary is what they could be looking for. So I think people need to focus their energy in a little different direction.
Yeah. So I kind of want to go back to, again, that conversation of like, what are they looking for? And again, I'm referencing back to your TikTok video where you said you have reason to believe, some pretty solid, facts that back up what you're saying is what they're looking for. And in the video, you said they're whoever is flying these drones, they're looking for a missing nuclear warhead. And before you start, I also want to say, you also said there was 80 missing nuclear warheads, but it was just one that you said is said to be on its path to the United States, but there's 80, which is crazy.
Yeah, I get this question a lot. And then there's a lot of people out there that obviously just doesn't believe what I'm saying, and that's okay. And I gave the green light on my TikTok video for people to say, hey, if you don't agree with me, tell me. But this is a 3-year long project. This is a 3-year long
That this has been going on.
that we've been working specifically on this issue. And my the gentleman that has brought this to me, I have a bit of a political footprint, not much of a footprint, but I do have some contacts in the government, and people know that, so they brought it to me and say, hey, can you help us raise awareness for this and get into certain people within the government so we can stop this thing. And this guy was almost in tears, right? So I said, yeah, sure, I will do what I can to help. And so far, we just haven't had a whole lot of luck until recently. I just got an update this morning that things are looking really good, and the information is in the right hands now. So I'm thanking God for that. But this person literally was in the room with this damn thing, and he knew that it was heading in this direction, and he tried to raise awareness, but he just couldn't get anybody's attention.
Why is that? Why do you think that?
I don't know. I'd love to tell you, but I just don't know. And I'm gonna stand up here and tell you that if I don't know something, I just don't know.
Sure. Yeah. So this person, you said he or she was in a wherever it was, they physically, and he said in the TikTok video, I know I keep referencing back to it, but they physically touched this nuclear warhead.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So just to break it down for you, back in the 80s when Reagan had dismantled the nuclear missile program, this was back in the old Soviet Union, and things, and I don't besmirch the Soviet Union or Russia for any of this, but things just happened, and there were several of these warheads that come up missing, and they have been missing. And I guarantee you that the federal government knows exactly, what warheads we're all talking about. They know. I mean, they absolutely know. And the unfortunate side is that they just don't know where they all are.
Yeah. So there's 80 missing warheads. Maybe some they know where they are, and some they don't.
Yeah, and maybe it's not 80 now. Based on my conversation this morning, it's going to be less than 80 now. And this is literally an update that I just received. But this gentleman, he's not going to come forward on a public forum and say, "Hey, I know where they are," because he's already had several attempts on his life, and we've got to protect that. So we're not gonna. And I don't know, I don't know any more than that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm glad. Like I said, I'm appreciative of any information that's that you're obviously willing to share, but also still being able to protect the individuals that are bringing forward this information, because man, this is some serious shit. This isn't we're talking about humanity here, man. Like, I mean, I shared with a very few, select people, that I'd gotten contacted with you. Cause again, I obviously I have a handful of friends and stuff that, had sent me your videos, even though like I'd already seen it. Right. But, and then, when I shared with a few people, I'm like, oh yeah, like I actually talked to him last night, and I'm having him come on the podcast, and people are like, you're what? Wait, what? And some people at first were like, okay, but it's like, oh, hey man, Bill, like you got to be careful with that. Like we're again, like this is serious. This is life and death. This is humanity. Like this isn't anything, to joke about it, especially not to and not take it serious. I mean, this is crazy, and especially hearing you say that this is something that's been in the works for like 3 years. I mean, I imagine it's been some time. I didn't think it was any type of overnight thing, but man, like this is like, I mean, the timing of it too. I don't know, if that has anything to do with. I mean, just again, like the election, Trump winning. I don't want. I'm not going to really speculate on any of that. But
yeah, I've tried really hard to make sure that, number one, I don't say something that is going to raise a bunch of flags, because I don't need any bullshit. And I'm a small company, right? And there's a lot of these stories out there that says that I'm something that I'm absolutely not, and that's a government backed drone manufacturer. I'm not. I sell aircraft to everybody. And I just so happen to be blessed enough to be able to sell aircraft to defense contractors, and some of the largest ones, and I love that, and I don't want to sacrifice that, but I just don't want to project that I'm somebody that I'm not. I'm just a dude that owns a company that manufactures cool stuff. And my intent is to run for office at some point, here, maybe in 26. And I just want to do good things, and I want to make sure that people have some information of what's going on. And do I think that they're going to detonate a nuke inside the United States? It is so 100% absolutely possible, but highly improbable.
Well, that's good to hear, at least.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to.
Yes.
Nobody wants to get torched, right? So it's not going to help anybody. It's only going to hurt the country.
Right. So, after while doing some research on all this, a friend of mine, brought this up, and I looked it up a little bit myself too. But I have to admit, I've never seen the movie, and I know I'm talking about a movie, so of course it's it's fictional. But this whole, I'll say, like the plot of how potentially of how this nuclear warhead, the plan or the plot of it kind of resembles the plot similarly to have you seen the movie Sum of All Fears?
It was Ben Affleck.
Okay, I was hoping you did, because again, complete honesty, I have not seen it. Okay,
that's a good movie.
Yeah. So, but I again, a friend of mine filled me in on it a little bit, earlier today. So I kind of, I understand to a degree, right? But besides the bomb blowing up, obviously, does like that plot, just so I'll say, just to try to make people try to understand this situation, how it's possible that a nuclear warhead can get in the wrong hands and eventually make its way here or to another country. But again, it's there's and some of the stuff I wasn't even aware of, like black market routes and black market selling of these things, like apparently that's a real thing. And again, I'm trying to just draw a parallel to to that movie Sum of All Fears, because would you say that's accurate in terms of like how this possibly could have happened?
Well, I mean, that movie seems, kind of realistic to me. Sure, it seems like that, something like that could happen. But, again, that I'm not in that field. I don't know how it would happen, but there's under no circumstance do I believe that there have not been that type of material brought into this country.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not some guy that has all this high level intelligence. I do have a level of intelligence, that most people don't have, just with the work that I do. But nothing that I have no intelligence that I have is classified or anything like that. So it seems to me like that would be plausible.
Yeah.
Just hopefully unlikely.
Yeah, definitely. So what Do you have a theory as to like why this is happening? Like what is this all about? Do you have any theory on that?
Yeah, my theory, I remain pretty strong with my theory that I gave in the video, and that is that there's no reason for a drone to be flying at night unless they're looking for something very specific. Now, you have to do an analysis on, you know, drones flying at night causing panic across not only the United States, several other countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain level of panic and anxiety, and there's cost to this, right? So they're measuring this cost to cause panic, but on the flip side, if what they're looking for is even more serious and has a higher cost, then you're gonna have to balance out, which direction you're gonna go. So again, it's not that the drones should scare you. Again, you don't appreciate them. They're ominous,
Mm-hmm.
but it's what they could be looking for is what should scare you. And not scare you, just make you concerned enough to, stand up to your government and say, we want to know. But again, just be prepared for a somewhat inaccurate answer.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to I mean, can you imagine the government saying, hey, America, and the rest of the world, there were some nukes that came up missing, and we think that maybe they're here. But we're just going to check it out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we got it. It's all good. Yeah.
Ain't no government going to say that.
No. Yeah. So we're really never gonna know, right? I mean, there's there'll be some story, I'm sure, but not that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the government operates in such secrecy that they're just not going to tell you, and they feel like it's none of your damn business.
Do you agree with that?
Hell yeah, I agree with it. Absolutely. I mean, when has the government told the truth?
Yeah. I don't think,
like Cat Williams says, go ahead, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Tell me. I mean, when has the government actually have been totally transparent with the American people on a situation as large as this?
Yeah, I mean, there's been probably a million other situations that are not anywhere near as serious as this, and they haven't told the truth. So
yeah, but you got to also understand the position of the federal government. They've got to sit there and figure out how in the hell they're going to cover this bullshit up, to not cause an even larger panic.
Yeah.
Right. So I respect them. And now let's go back to the FAA. Even the military, if they're flying aircraft inside the United States, even the military has to communicate with the FAA. There's certain ranges that they can fly on and stuff. But, if there's going to be any aircraft that's flying in civilian airspace, you have to coordinate that with the FAA. They're the boss. Right. So, my hat's off to the FAA for, such a challenging task of trying to keep our manned aviation safe. But, you can't fly at night. Now they're changing the rules, but you can't fly at night unless you have authorization to do so. And you can't fly a commercial drone unless you have authorization to do so. So imagine with all of the aircraft that's being flown out there in the United States now, or let's just say New Jersey and New York area, imagine you have to file a flight plan for every single one of those aircraft. Imagine the paperwork that it takes to get that authorization from the FAA. And then, by the way, the FAA says you're not supposed to fly drones over people, right? Unless it's a little toy, right? So again, I don't believe it's nefarious. I believe they have a mission. I believe they're on their mission. The United States probably doesn't want to hear this, but they're probably going to have to just hold on and ride it out, let the damn things do their job. They're going to go away, and then we're going to get some bullshit answer a couple weeks later. So that's just what America's going to get.
Yeah. So I also want to talk a little bit about. So I believe it was in one of your TikTok videos. I don't know if it was the second or the third one. It might have been the third one. When you talked about you made mention of I don't think people really know what's going on around the world. And you made mention of you've done a lot of traveling. You've been a lot of foreign countries. You've been all over the world.
Over 80.
Yeah. I saw that. And so again, but you made reference that we won't like it if we know what's really going on around the world. What did you mean by that?
Well, again, there's a lot of things that are happening in this world that is just flat ass bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I spend a lot of time down in Mexico with my unmanned aircraft, and I spent a lot of time on the border, trying to stop the child sex trafficking and human trafficking and narco terrorism. And if people would have the ability to see what I've seen, just on the border or overseas, it would make people just puke.
Yeah.
When you've seen young girls under 10 years old being violent, the remnants of young girls under 10 years old being violently raped by multitudes of men, you understand that we've lost a little bit of humanity. And I always used to say that, it's coming to a neighborhood near you. Well, I mean, it's in a neighborhood near you. It's everywhere, right? So, we have a problem, and and what I'm saying is not an immigration problem. That's for people out on the East Coast to deal with, out there in the White House, right? So, but as a Marine and someone who has vowed to protect my country and my family to the death, which I take that very serious. Um, I've seen this stuff south of the border, and I've seen that it's here now, and I've seen it here in the United States, in freaking Kansas of all places, right?
Yeah.
So, um, so that's what I mean, and that's just the Mexico U.S. border. And by the way, the people that I've worked with down in Mexico, just such wonderful people. They're my brothers and sisters, and they'll be my brothers and sisters till the day I die. Just good people. But they wanted me to come up here to the United States to say, hey, look, you got your problems there on that wall. We have our problems south of that wall, and we're trying to stop it here before it gets to the wall.
Yeah.
So uh so I respect that in Mexico, and I respect Mexico, and I respect what they're doing. What they're trying to do.
Yeah, we have a real serious border problem, don't we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and I think I think a lot of people ignore it. A lot of people are ignoring it, and they're pretending like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, on the southern border. There's a lot of stuff coming into the United States that you just wouldn't want to know about.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't tell you. But
yeah.
But and I can also tell you that there's way more people that they brought in than what has been advertised. They're advertising, what's now? It's 20 now, 20 million, double that.
Really?
Yeah, and they know.
40 million
people. They know.
And what? And how long? In what time span did these 40 million come into America?
I don't know, somewhere around 2020.
Really? So literally just within the last 4 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people.
If you take a look at all of the people that have come across the border, on the actual border, there's that number, and then what they're not counting is what they call the gotaways, right? The gotaways has a number assigned to it, and then you're not counting all of the people that they've been flying in from around the world. Just do the math. 15 to 20 flights a day with 200 to 400 people in each flight. 24, every single day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there's great podcasters out there that track all of that stuff, like Monkey Works. I don't know if you've seen that dude from Texas.
I think so.
It's Monkey Works, WERX.
Yep.
I love that dude. He's awesome. But he's been tracking all of these flights. You can track the flights. He's been doing it for a long time, and you just do the math. That's all.
Yeah. Have you seen besides obviously the Mexico U.S. border? I mean, are there other instances or situations around the world, like when again when you made that reference of things going on around the world, was it specifically more geared towards our border issue here, in the U.S. along Mexico, or is it other countries and other things going around the globe?
Other countries.
Yeah.
I've seen the child sex trafficking and the human trafficking in other countries. I just met with the president of Sudan, or the Sovereign Council,
Mm-hmm.
was at the time, in Sudan, and then I've been very honored to meet with the president of Burundi, Africa, which is the poorest country in the world. Um, Burundi is an amazing place, and I encourage everybody to buy Burundi products. They're phenomenal. They're wonderful, beautiful people. But in Sudan, I was blessed enough to meet with the president at the time, the Sovereign Council, governors, generals, and ministers, and all those cool people before the war had erupted, the civil war. And if you look at the atrocities that are happening over there and in South Sudan, it's just disgusting. And so my goal, my vision, is to be in a position where I can represent the United States, and I can also represent some of these African nations, and I can bring us together. And like our food over here, they have got so much shit in our food that a lot of our food is actually illegal overseas. You know, like a no, don't bring that bullshit into our country. Well, Burundi, all of their foods are just wonderful foods, like huge avocados and mangoes and bananas, and they call it food, and over here in the United States we call it organic. Because they don't put all the pesticides and all that other stuff. They have some of the most richest soil in the world, in Africa. And so I would like to help bring some of their food over here that doesn't compete with our farmers, and we eat healthier, and they get more money to do what everybody gets to do over here, and that's just go to work and raise a family.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's obviously, I mean, you could just tell by a lot of what you're saying. You're super passionate, about a lot of things, a lot of issues here. Like, where does that stem from?
Oh hell, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Marine, right? My job is to fight for this country no matter what. But I guess I've traveled to so many countries around the world that I've seen how poor people live, and you can watch all these sad TV commercials till the cows come home, and it looks sad and it looks terrible, but wait until you smell it. You do not understand poverty until you are there and you smell it, right?
Yeah.
So it just became a love, a passion of mine to just try to help these people, because why not? The Western world is very, very stingy when it comes to our technology. But can you imagine if we would just take our technology over to some of these African nations and just share? Maybe these people wouldn't have to live the way they do.
Yeah.
Like clean water. We brought water machines, a machine that makes water out of humidity. We brought that over to Africa and said, here you go. Here it is in your desert,
Yeah.
And it's like, they've never had a clean, fresh glass of drinking water.
It's so crazy you say it, John, because I'm actually still sitting on the episodes. They should probably be coming out hopefully within the next few weeks here. But this past July, I actually went to Kenya myself.
Oh, nice.
I took the podcast, my show there. I recorded 4 episodes there. And we did some water well projects and worked with some orphanages.
Oh, nice. So you know what I'm talking about.
100%. And you probably saw my face light up. And even though you were telling a serious story about the conditions and what they don't have in Africa, I get it. I 100% get it. And just you hit the nail on the head. And I've said this a million times since I've been back. Again, just I know I'm repeating what you said, but I say it all the time myself. Until you go to a country like that and witness it firsthand, again, you could watch the movies, you can listen and watch to my podcast episodes. They're gonna come out. You could do all that, and it's all good, right? It's impactful, but it doesn't do it justice until you're there. When you're there, and when you see what these children and families don't have, and when I say what they don't have, I mean, if there's something less than nothing, that's what they have. And I know you know that when I'm saying that, because you've seen it and I've seen it. And I got to tell you, man, like it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. And I know some people might, be watching this and be like, oh, he's like exaggerating. And I mean, there's nothing you could say to even exaggerate. Like it is that serious. And again, like
it is,
they don't have water. They literally don't even have water.
Yeah. Just think though, I'm from Kansas, and we grow a lot of wheat and corn and stuff here, and just imagine how amazing it would be for us not to give them shit, because that's what everybody does.
Right.
When you give them stuff, then they become complacent.
Yep.
They become lazy. And I'm not saying Africans. You just give somebody stuff, they just become complacent, right? So imagine if we can work with these African nations, we can. And so I built an infrastructure package for the country of Sudan, and then they went and got in that damn war. And I'm still working on this infrastructure package, but my goal was to take our engineers, aerospace engineers, subsea engineers, oil and gas engineers, farmers, ranchers, take these people and take them over there and do an exchange program and have them come over here, and we learn how they do it and we learn how they do it. And then we build together. That is literally my passion. I mean, the drones are my passion, but also meeting with the president of Sudan, he had stated that he thought about 40% of his gold that was exported out of the country was stolen, because they're very gold rich. And so, with my drone infrastructure package, we could maintain 100% surveillance on, their borders. And so if people were trying to steal the gold, then they could interdict, they could maintain that gold, and it would increase their GDP and give them the ability to do other things, right? So it all just fits together, and that is my vision for Africa. And at some point, I'm hoping that I'll have that position to do that as an American representative and not just a private citizen.
Yeah, no, like it's there's. The world needs more people like you, man. Because it's
I don't know.
Because you're actually doing something. There's a lot of people, and again, I did a decent amount of research. I've just been Googling you as much as I can for the last 24 hours, and and again, I've seen I've seen some of your travels around the world, but I can very much appreciate it, because like I said, I myself have witnessed the poverty and the level of poverty that people just can't even imagine. A commercial on TV could just never do it justice. So I can definitely appreciate where you're coming from on that. But kind of changing gears, kind of back to the situation at hand here in the U.S. And we can, I know you only have a couple minutes left here, so we're gonna probably have to wrap it up. It's I kind of want to go back to, you said you had that source that kind of gave you that information, and, I'm just curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, how trustworthy is that source, and how likely is it that, on a scale from 1 to 10, that information that individual gave you is true?
10.
10.
Yeah, because that information is over to the proper authorities now and is being handled at this point.
Wow.
So, yeah.
You'd put your name and life on the line for this person?
I have.
Wow. Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
All right. Well, I hate to be rude, but
no.
I do have to go. I've got these other people going, hey. So
all good. Well, John, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks again for taking the time, and hopefully everything's going to be resolved. It sounds like we got some good news coming. So, thanks again for the time, and
you bet.
We definitely have to keep in touch.
Absolutely. Stay in touch, all right?
Thanks,
and
John.
Thank you, and thanks to all your listeners. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
If you want to see more On the Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthestackspodcast, or search the hashtag OnTheStacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.